What's actually happening behind the curtain of a tarot parlor? I mean, is it a genuine mystical connection to some ethereal source, or is it just a highly structured psychological mirror? Welcome to today's Explainer, where we are going to break down the actual mechanics of a real-world tarot session. We're going to follow a client named Shannon Donovan as she steps off the street and right into a downtown parlor looking for answers. We'll explore the environment, the ritual itself, the specific cards drawn, and most importantly, the profound impact the reading has on her. So let's just jump right in.
To really get a feel for the mechanics of this experience, we first have to step right into Shannon's shoes. Imagine walking into a shop called The Otherside in downtown Lockwood, Washington. Every single detail inside this cozy 12x12 reading room, from the dark green carpets and tapestries to the antique love seat and even a very perceptive black cat named Casey, it's all deliberately crafted to pull you completely out of the mundane world. It acts as a liminal space. It's meticulously designed to quiet all those everyday anxieties and make you highly receptive to whatever comes next.
And guiding us through this space is the parlor's owner, Lucretia Eddy, though her friends just call her Lucy. Now, Lucy's credibility is absolutely key here. She is definitely not a novice. In fact, her friends have suspected she has actual clairvoyant abilities ever since she started reading for them in college way back in the 90s. Her insights were just always razor sharp. Fast forward to 2020, and she opens The Otherside, creating this dedicated room where she genuinely believes her spiritual assemblage point just locks right into the source.
So, a reading isn't just about throwing a bunch of cards on a table, right? It's a procedural, step-by-step ritual that deliberately shifts the energy of the room. When Shannon sits down in the ornate chair, Lucy begins this really precise sequence. First, she turns an antique hourglass to mark exactly 1 hour of time. Second, she explicitly invites the spirits into the space. Third, she lights a rose quartz candle. Fourth, the querent, that's Shannon, is asked to make a silent wish. And finally, Lucy uses what she calls the fishbowl mix, randomly scattering the cards in a big pile. This deliberate pacing is absolutely crucial. It fully transitions Shannon's mind from the busy street outside into a state of deep, focused receptivity.
And you know, this brilliantly illustrates a vital mechanic of the tarot, the active participation of the person actually getting the reading. See, Lucy doesn't just read the cards at Shannon. She requires Shannon to physically touch the 78-card deck and mentally set an intention. Shannon closes her eyes and concentrates specifically on learning something of value. The really important takeaway here is that before a single card is even turned over, Shannon's own psychological focus is already primed. She's ready to look for meaning, value, and personal relevance in whatever pops up next.
Okay, let's dive right into this spread. Lucy uses a really classic 3-card layout for Shannon: situation, obstacle, and advice. Shannon lets her hand wander through that fishbowl mix we talked about, selecting 3 cards face down. And when Lucy flips them over, it's pretty amazing how this narrative structure just lays Shannon's current life bare. We're going to break down exactly what these specific symbols mean and how they apply directly to her situation. The very first card, sitting in the situation position, is the 4 of Cups. Lucy explains that this is a minor arcana card dealing heavily with emotions, and it paints a picture of a world that just feels, well, kind of gray. It points to boredom, dissatisfaction, and a sort of apathy where you might be so hyper-focused on what isn't working that you're totally blind to the new opportunities sitting right in front of you. And immediately upon hearing this, Shannon whispers, "That actually hits home." Boom! The cards have successfully established a baseline, accurately pinpointing Shannon's current emotional slump. Next up, we move to the obstacle card, which turns out to be the Page of Wands. But here's the really fascinating contradiction of getting the Page of Wands in the obstacle position. Usually, this card represents youthful energy, a spark of inspiration or creative potential. Lucy keenly points out that Shannon's problem isn't a lack of good ideas. Not at all. The problem is her hesitation to actually get started. She's overthinking the spark instead of just letting it catch fire. It's such a great insight, showing how sometimes our own untapped potential is the exact thing blocking our progress.
So what's the cure for all this apathetic hesitation? Well, that brings us to the Advice card, the Knight of Swords. And wow, this card is the literal polar opposite of the previous 2. It is all about intense action, fast movement, and charging forward with pure logic and determination. The Knight doesn't sit around waiting for the perfect moment. Lucy tells Shannon the advice here is crystal clear. Stop overanalyzing and just start moving. Once she breaks through that apathy, she needs to commit fully and move fast to catch her goal. It's a direct, forceful antidote to that stagnation we saw in the 4 of Cups.
And here is where the magic, or, perhaps the psychology, really happens. Shannon looks at this layout and just exclaims in total astonishment, "It's like the cards are telling me to stop sulking and just go for it." This is such a highly relatable, beautiful moment of sudden realization. The cards acted as a perfect psychological mirror. They took Shannon's vague, internal feelings of being stuck and literally projected them outward onto the table in a structured visual narrative. By seeing her situation objectively through these symbols, she instantly grasped what she needs to do.
But Lucy isn't quite finished yet. Sensing the momentum of the reading, she suggests they pull a fourth card, a clarifier. Now, why do this? Because while the Knight of Swords provides the necessary kick into action, fast movement can honestly sometimes be a bit chaotic. The clarifier is brought in to complete the narrative arc. It answers that burning question. Okay, if I take this bold, fast action, where am I actually going to end up? Shannon is fully engaged now, super excited, and eagerly accepts.
So, Shannon draws the card and places it right on top of the Knight. It's the Eight of Pentacles. Lucy smiles as she reveals the meaning. This is the card of the craftsman. It represents diligence, mastery, and really stable, rewarding hard work. As a clarifier, it completely grounds the whole reading. It assures Shannon that if she takes that youthful, energetic leap and just charges forward, it's not going to lead to burnout or chaos. Instead, that fast move will result in something highly stable, giving her the chance to master her craft and enjoy a solid period of steady success. It was the ultimate reassurance she needed to finally take that leap.
As that antique hourglass finally runs out, the reading concludes. But the physical transaction at the end of all this is honestly just as telling as the reading itself. Lucy's standard fee is $40 for the hour. But as they're walking back out to the waiting room, with Casey the cat trailing right behind them, of course, Shannon hands Lucy a $50 bill and insists she keep the change. That extra $10 tip, that's way more than just a standard gratuity. It's a physical symbol of the incredible, practical value she just received. Shannon explicitly states that meeting with Lucy lifted a literal heavy burden that had been sitting on her mind.
Looking back at Shannon's whole experience, we're really left with two distinct perspectives at play here. On one hand, you have the supernatural aspect. Lucy genuinely believes her reading room connects directly to the source. She openly invites spirits and she views the cards as a mystical conduit. But on the other hand, we have Shannon's experience of psychological self-examination. As Shannon noted, evaluating these issues through the cards is incredibly useful, even if it's purely a structured way to see things in a clearer light. What's truly beautiful here is that these two views don't clash at all. They coexist perfectly to facilitate a real breakthrough.
So I want to leave you with this final thought to ponder. When the hourglass turns, the candle is lit, and the cards are finally drawn, is the true power of the tarot found in the ethereal spirits we invite into the room? Or does the power lie entirely within us, in those profound, undeniable truths that we finally allow ourselves to clearly see? It's such a fascinating intersection of the mystical and the mental. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer today, and as always, keep questioning what you see.